Hi, my name is Jahan, and this is my recording and screencast for Individual Summit 4. Okay, so let's first go over staff homepage. So for staff homepage, this basically handles all of the staff related things. So like for my user stories, I mentioned that the staff should be able to um, delete notifications and posts by students and reviewers, and they should be able to contact instructors, and they should also be able to ban and suspend users. So this handles all that logic. So first of all, this is just the instantiator, so you just need these classes. And then for show, this is just basically just some UI front end for make it look a little nice, like add some coloring to it. To show actually all the staff dashboard, the buttons, the drop-down menus to pick whether or not you want to manage the users. So this is the show, and these have all the buttons. This is the actual stuff. Populate all users combo box. So basically, what this does is when you select that you want to modify a user, you can actually, or you want to, go over reviews from a user or questions from a student or like reviews from a reviewer. Um, there's a combo box that allows you to select that. This just basically modifies it by making a query to database helper to actually get the all the users basically. Then display user management options. So basically, this allows you to basically select banned and suspended users. So what this does is it ultimately just queries the database to see if users are banned or timed out. And if they are, then it changes and there's obviously methods in database helper for that. And if they are, then it just basically sees, okay, um, change it to it changes the button to like stop suspension and stop ban. And if they aren't, then it's ban and suspend. And then basically you can just check that, and there's a lot of front end UI stuff here for this one. Unban user, it's the same logic. It's basically using database helper to unban user. It's just the um, method for that. Unsuspend user, same thing. We're not going to go over that. Ban user. I'll go over the in user database handler. Show suspend dialog. So basically for suspension, you can select the amount of days. So it'll basically create like a drop-down menu. Um, sorry, not drop-down menu, but it'll basically create like a up and down thing where you have an arrows which you can go up and down, and basically a box which you can insert your either amount of days you want to suspend the individual for. Then this is also another suspend user. And this is the show instructor conversation. So basically, I want to be able to communicate with show instructor with all instructors, like make a message out to them, and they can like talk back to me. Ultimately, what this does is this just creates the front end for this. So there's basically like a screen, and there should be like a box, the H box, which you can input stuff into to communicate with all instructors, and that's managed in Database Helper. So refresh conversation messages. So basically, what this does is just refreshes it. It just refreshes the page. Send message to instructors. Again, just send messages. This is a pretty easy method to go over. It's just a database helper. Populate student combo box. Basically, yeah, this just shows you all the students so that you can manage them. So you can select a student to see. And this is again just database helper. Populate reviewer combo box. This again just selects all reviewers to populate. Display student content. Um, so yeah, student information, questions posted, replies posted, notifications sent. This is basically, again, all these are managed in Database Helper, but they are shown here specifically. But all the posts are retrieved from Database Helper. And display reviewer content is the same logic there. Display student questions. Basically, you retrieve all questions from Database Helper and display it. I'm not going to go over that specifically. Display student replies. Again, you retrieve all of them from answer handler and display it there. Here you display all post reviews from review handler for reviewers. Kind of the same logic there. Display reply reviews. Again, from review handler, just the same logic there, but just for replies instead of posts and questions. Um, Display reviewer experience. The basically the in review handler, there's experience for each reviewer. You can just fetch that. Um, and this creates the UI. I'm not going to go over the UI components. Display sent notifications. Again, this just displays the notifications that were sent from each user. The ultimate logic is you just want to see if every single time a notification is sent by a user, their username is attached to that notification. So you just want to see if their username is basically is contained within notification. So you want to query, you want to check the whole database and then see which notifications match with the user's username or contains that. These are just a bunch of creating specific boxes, like content boxes. This is the notification dialog. So the previous notification method, it actually was the UI for this. This is the dialog. So it more specifically shows or that was the more layout for this. This is the actual dialogue. So like what happens when instructors comment back. And then this is delete question. Um, Pretty similar. Like if you want to delete a question, just queries database helper again. Delete reply, queries reply helper. Delete review, queries review handler. Delete experience, again, queries review handler. Um, Delete notification, this again, queries database helper. Pretty similar methods here. Notify student, again, queries database helper and just adds it to the student username that you input. There's a method in there for database helper. Um, and get notifications sent by user. Ultimately, that's just what the previous method I discussed uses. And then show alert. And this is a notification item class, which makes basically it a little bit easier to handle notifications so that there's a lot of parts to notification, like, like obviously your recipient ID and content. So it's hard to make like a list every single time you want to handle notifications. So it's just easier to have a class for this, and then you can use that for other methods. So that's nice. And then for database helper, there's some of these methods. A lot of these are really just querying. So for like unbanned user, it's just setting it to false. Is banned, this sets it to true. Is your banned, it just checks all these things. Get all students, just checks where student role is student. Get all reviewers, instructors, checks where they're instructors. Um, Relatively straightforward there. It's not anything crazy. A lot of these, honestly, a lot of this staff homepage was just you just reuse the methods that you previously created and tested. So there wasn't really a whole lot of new stuff going on, just most of the UI component of it. All right, so let's run this. Let's just run Java application. Okay. All right. So actually, let's just delete that. Okay. Uh, okay. So let's just create the thing. So this is just basically creating the admin page. Let's invite a staff member, 05F8. And let's just name it staff. Okay, so in case you could see the layout. So far, we don't have any students and we don't have any reviewers. Um, so we can first of all just make that. Um, so what you want to do is you want to include student, and then what we can do is actually, sorry, my bad. Um, so let's just invite a student and ed 6B. Okay. All right. So that created the student. So now we can see it. If we continue the page and just submit a random question, cool. I also want to show this functionality because this is kind of relevant right now. Um, well, we did, and then let's just reply something. Um, yeah. So let's just reply. Uh, yeah. Let's just reply to this one, something like this. Okay. And then we can just go back. Yeah. And now we can actually log out, log in, go to staff, and now we can see for student content, we can see student, and we can see all the content they've had, everything. You can even delete the question or the reply. Let's just delete the question, for example, and let's log out as student. And if you can see, the question is no longer there. So you can moderate like that. Um, Now, also, I do want to incorporate this logic too. So you can also message instructors. In this case, you just type a message up, um, send it, message sent to all instructors. So you can also send messages to instructors. Um, and last but not least, you can also ban certain students. Um, so let's just do that. So let's just suspend this student like that. And let's just suspend it for a day. It's a success. Let's try to log in as that student. Um, you could see it says count is suspended. You can't log in. So all of those are there. It's and you can see that the functionality is there, like the deletion, um, sending notification to instructors, and also banning and suspending students. So, and then now we can also go over the testing as well. So for the test, basically, I just wanted to cover a lot of the banning tests and then a lot of the like retrieving students and reviewers. So this is just creating it. So first of all, initialize the data so that there were instructors, reviewers, students, so that there's all types of ones. So test add notification to all instructors. Ultimately, what this does is it just adds a notification to all the instructors that were created here, and it just checks if that is it checks if those that notification was added basically, and it should be basically equal. There should be the amount of people that was added for. Then also test get all reviewers usernames multiple. So this basically just gets all reviewer usernames and then sees if the size is true, which it should be two, which is comes out to be true. Test is user banned. It just sees if it's banned or not. Um, if that method works, test that notification success. So just add its notification. This is obviously necessary. Test does user exists true. Um, Here, it just sees if the user exists or not. Again, this is necessary for student and review fetching. And yeah, it does exist, and it should be. Um, then test suspended user. So it basically tests if the user is suspended or not through the database helper. Test suspended user success. Basically, very similar. It basically sees if the suspending. This is basically more of like a short duration test. This is more so a long duration test. Then test ban success. Just test the banning. Test delete notification line. Um, Basically, if the notification is deleted, it just sees it. You can again delete notifications and stuff on this. So yeah. Test get user ID by username. So basically, again, you want to get user ID by username through multiple facets here. So it's an important method to test because it's kind of an intermediate method for a lot of other methods. And basically, just sees if it can get username by active user ID. And if the user ID is greater than zero, then it worked. Test unban user. Basically, this tests the unban method, on suspend method, timeout expiry. So basically, the timeout expiry is basically like when does your timeout end, and this just sees for the suspended user, when does the timeout expiry end? And it basically sees if there's any response. Just if it's not null, then it did work. And then get all students, just basically use the database helper to get all students, and then get questions by user for student. Also, it gets all the questions for a certain student. Um, so basically, I add a post, and then I get the question for that. And this logic is the same for review handler, reply handler, answer handler. So there's really only need necessary to test one of them. Okay, so basically, that's that. And we can go to JUnit, and it is fully tested, and all of the methods work, as you can see here. All of them work, and they ran properly. Okay. And then we can also look at the Java doc to see how that, um, to see the explanations. Okay, so for staff homepage, as you can see, all of the classes, also all of the methods are described, and you can see all the fields, the output of the methods, and the parameters, things like that. I'm not gonna go over that. Staff homepage, um, you can see again the constructor details, the method details like setup, initialize test data, which are very important, clean up test data, and then you can see all of them, um, and how what it should realistically output, which is success, valid. I mean, all these should really assert true or false, and you can see which ones should assert true and which ones should assert false. So just in the title, so you could see all that. Um, so these cover the methods for these basically cover the Java docs for all of them. And now that we covered that, uh, yeah. So yeah, now that we covered that, you've basically seen the implementation of the staff user stories and how they work, the implementation of the JUnit tests and how they work, and the results of running the JUnit tests and output produced by the Java doc. You could see that, and I think that'll be it for this video.